Put it on vibrate. It is what it is. Yep. Good evening, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reisch, and this is Crime Talk. Thank you for tuning in. This is our Tuesday night live program that we do, I think, just about every Tuesday, short of some exception. But for the most part, every Tuesday night, here we are, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And immediately following tonight's show, then we'll do our Patreon Live, which, if you're not a Patreon, we obviously encourage you to become one. Last week, we had a special guest on who's actually a subscriber and a Patreon member, but through the conversation that was going on one week, she was discovered that she was a death penalty mitigation specialist, so we had her on. Had a lot of positive feedback from that. Obviously, as a Patreon member, you also get to call in, so you can have a conversation with me. We had a really good conversation a couple weeks ago. We had some people from Rexburg, Idaho call us and kind of give us the lowdown on what was going on there on the ground, so to speak. So definitely encourage you to join Patreon. It's worth the small pledge that you make for sure. But thank you for watching. You do not have to do anything for this portion of it other than just to continue to watch. We appreciate that. We know that you have a lot of things you could be doing with your time, and the fact that you take the time to watch us here at Crime Talk does not go unnoticed, and it is not and it is very much appreciated. I assure you of that. So thank you very much for doing that. For those of you who do not know, my name is Scott Reisch. I'm a practicing criminal defense attorney. Been doing it both in the military as a judge advocate in the Marine Corps, and then in private practice now for going on 21 years. So actually about 26 years as an attorney that's done primarily criminal defense my entire time. So I've handled just about every type of case that you could possibly imagine. So we can certainly, hopefully, answer any question that must go on for sure. So we appreciate you taking the time. You can hit us, leave us a text there in the chat box. We'll try to take a look at it. Obviously, it's a lot easier with the Patreon because there aren't as many people scrolling by. But we appreciate everybody there. We got Nancy E. Hi from L.A., Jackie, Michelle, Deb, Blick74, Molly, Peace World. Thank you all. Now, no one's saying you have to do this, but if you do the super chat, it gets bolded. So we definitely try to answer those questions because as the time goes on, as the evening goes on, it will get more and more difficult to see all that. So, like I said, practicing criminal defense attorney, started this show, can't believe it, over 2 years ago now, in regards to the Chris Watts case, because I was just so frustrated by the reporting that was going on, and no one really seemed to understand or be able to explain the procedure, the tactical decisions that were being made on both parts, and what legally was happening, the legal standards that apply. And we've grown from there. I think we're just about at 170,000 subscribers, so thank you all. Hopefully you'll share this with everybody, like it, subscribe, and we'll hit that 170. Who knows? Maybe we'll hit 200,000 just like that if we could get all of our friends to subscribe. Let's see here. Scott, question, will there be flood of appeals due to COVID restrictions in the jail and prisons, specifically restrictions with attorney visits with clients? Jean Marie, I think I got that, Jean Marie. I don't think there's going to be a bunch of appeals. The courts, kind of like the the jail, kind of like the courts, has advanced technologically about 10 years in the last year. For the most part, it was unheard of to ever think of doing video to court, calling into court, but yet we do it. Before, the jails were never going to make accommodations where somebody could call their attorney, schedule a call, and, God forbid, a Zoom call. That was unheard of. But necessity is the mother of invention, and they had to do it because people, weren't going to the jail. I can tell you, I'm one of the few attorneys that actually goes to the jail to see his clients. I was down there last week and I asked, one of the sheriffs, working, whether, things are starting to pick back up again, people trying to come see their clients. And he said, no, it's simply not happening. It's, don't get me wrong, going to the jail is probably one of the least things I like to do. It's time consuming. You got to go down, you got to park, you got to go through all the metal detectors, fill out the paperwork, go back, go into the jail. It's just not fun. I would rather sit in my office and talk on the phone or Zoom with my client as well. But there's some cases where you must have that client interaction to make them feel comfortable as to what's going on. Now, where the issues are going to come, and I have litigated this up to our Colorado Supreme Court on what they call a Rule 21, and I'm going to continue to make the argument, is that it's a violation of a statutory, not a constitutional, but a statutory right to speedy trial. Here in the state of Colorado, like many states, you have 6 months to get to trial. The government has 6 months to get you to trial from the date that you say not guilty. And if you don't get a trial within your 6 month period, the case should be dismissed based upon statutory speedy trial grounds. And so I've had several cases where I said, Judge, we object to any sort of continuance. And, it's a violation of my client's speedy trial rights. The case should be dismissed. The court denies it. And they say, well, we passed a rule that we can declare a mistrial if there happens to be a public health pandemic, and therefore that's sufficient, and we're going to declare a mistrial, and you can have 90 days from that date plus any time that was calculated by that. And I've been making this argument repeatedly, and my position is it's a separations of powers argument that if the legislature that was in session and had a special session since wanted to change the Speedy Trial Act, knowing full and well that there was a public health pandemic, they could have, in their legislative session, passed a bill, have it approved by both houses, send it to the governor to sign it, to make an amendment to the Speedy Trial statute. They didn't do that. They purposely didn't do that. Well, the courts then took it upon themselves to say, well, we're going to create a rule. And this rule will be, if there happens to be a public health pandemic, we will be able to declare a mistrial and add more time on. And there's no limit as the number of times you can declare a mistrial. And here we are. I made that argument. One of the judges said, I just want to make the record clear. I was on the Rules Committee, and we had to do this because the legislature was not doing anything. They were sitting at home, cowering in their beds. And I said, Your Honor, well, that's my point exactly. They chose not to do anything. Therefore, you can't create a rule. And here's the thing. The Rules Committee in just about any state, you got somebody in the Supreme Court, and then you got all these judges, and they get together for their annual or their weekly luncheon where they sit around and talk about the rules, what rules need to be changed. Should we change the and to an or? Should we put a comma? Should we put a semicolon? This stuff takes years and meetings to come up with a new rule. The change to the mistrial, Rule 24, specifically Rule 24E here in Colorado, they did it all via email and Zoom within a matter of weeks. I've attempted to ask for the public meetings about this, and the Supreme Court gets all freaked out, the staff. I'm like, well, I'd like to get a copy of those minutes. Well, that's private. You can't have. No, I'm pretty sure it's public hearing, and I'd like to get all the minutes on that. They're stonewalling, so we'll probably have to do a public information request. But my point is, and anybody knows anything about the law, there's hierarchy of laws that need to be followed, right? Obviously, constitutional law, statutory law, and then rules. Rules are made for the efficient running of the court system. The rules, this is how we're going to do things in the court. So things run efficiently, due process rights are protected. I've never seen anything like it. I get it. It's a unique situation, but it's not the first time it's ever happened, and it's probably not the last time it's ever going to happen. And so to one day the court magically makes a rule to affect speedy trial rights, because otherwise they would have to dismiss all of these cases, because the courts declared that you can't call in jurors because you can't social distance. I'm not sure how that is going to go. I can tell you here in Denver, the court said basically no jury trials until April. The rest of the state, the surrounding counties around Denver, are resuming jury trials here in February. The ironic thing is that all the numbers are still higher than when they initially imposed all of these restrictions. They're higher than when they stopped jury trials before. But I guess since the judiciary here in the state is listed as essential and a top priority of people to get the COVID-19 vaccination, that apparently they're ready to go now. Everybody else can just, wear a double mask or something. I don't know. Not that big of a concern to me. For those who've been watching, know that back in November, COVID kicked my butt for about 8 days. Wasn't fun, but we got through it, and life goes on. I mean, when you have a busy law practice and many attorneys and employees, you have to work and get things done. Otherwise, guess what? Bad things happen, and we don't like that to happen. So you just make things happen. It's what you have to do. Apparently, the courts in the states are figuring that out new, because they're realizing, oh my gosh, we have no tax revenue. We better get back to work. All right. So there we are on that. So good question, Gene. I hope that answers your question. So really, the ability to see your clients has actually been made a little easier, since you don't actually have to go to the jail, but there's not the privacy. Some clients don't like it for sure. They like to be able to see and talk to your attorney. It's a little weird. Everybody has a masks on in the jail, so you really can't see what facial expressions or demeanor, people are doing for. So yeah, hopefully a good question. Hopefully that answered it. If you have any questions, now's the time to answer. Definition of pandemic change. It used to be pandemic can be declared by number of deaths. Now deaths can be removed from pandemic definition. Everything's changing on this. Let's face it. They're literally making this up as they go along. I get it. Nobody expected it. No one was prepared for it. But, I think a lot of people are coming up on their 1-year anniversary of the 2-week shutdown. What can you say? Hello, Liz. I saw means roll better for us. Let's see. Appreciate you doing such great mod. Thank you. Appreciate everyone. Appreciate moderators. You sound like you have a residual lasting throat or lung throat issue post-COVID. Well, thanks, Michelle. I hope not. I hope not. I think this is the way I've always sounded. Haven't I? I don't know. I think so. Frank, the hardest working man in show business, is here. Frank, does my voice sound any different since coming back? I don't know. We've got Julie as well. You haven't been here since post-COVID. And we also have the lovely Miss Kristen here in the house. Does my voice sound different than it did before? No. And also in the studio is Miss Winnie the Bulldog. For those of you who didn't know, got a bulldog for Christmas. Best gift ever. Love bulldogs. Although it's been a little touch and go. Lovely Miss Kristen has some second thoughts about it. To say the least. Not going to lie, so did I. It was kind of like having kids all over again. It can change your world completely. So anyway, Michelle, thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully I don't have any residual throat issues. Some people have had, I know somebody that had COVID, and now he's got something on his lungs or something like that. Okay, Susie Rainwater. Question. All right, not going to offend anybody. I'm reading this question. Is it illegal to fly the Nazi flag? It is not illegal. It would be First Amendment protected speech, but it could be dangerous to your health because somebody could come and punch you. It's just not good advice, all right? I'm not your attorney, but if I were your attorney, I would tell you, why would you want to do that? Why? It's just going to create issues you're going to look back and regret. Don't do that. I wouldn't do it. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You know, it's not illegal. It's freedom of speech, freedom of expression, no matter how insensitive it may be. And I'm the first one that'll support just about anyone's right to First Amendment speech. But sometimes it's just good common sense. Why would you want to do that? Why would anybody want to do that? And I'm not saying, Susie, you would want to do that. But the reality of it is why? Can Winnie make an appearance? Maybe near the end of the show. I think she's sleeping because she is becoming a good bulldog. If anyone's ever had a good bulldog before, you know what they do. They eat and they sleep. And she's about 13 weeks old. So everyone's going to have to wait here till the end of the show to see Miss Winnie the Bulldog. Although the Crime Talk crew has put up a TikTok page and I think an Instagram for Miss Winnie the Bulldog. So, we'll see. Maybe she will be famous someday for sure. She's got some stiff competition. There's some really cool bulldogs out there. Out on the TikTok stuff. There's a guy out of Canada. I'll give him a big shout out. The Mr. Bentley, the bulldog. This guy flies helicopters and he has his bulldog that sits in the front seat and, gives him like little fist bumps. So I'm working on Ms. Winnie giving me fist bumps, hey, boom. That's right. But all right. A good question here, Betty. Scott, what do you think about the ground penetrating radar just used on the West House in California City? Yeah, that happened just today. The police department returned to the home today, and they used an imaging device to take photos of several feet of ground on the property. The adoptive parents, obviously, of 3-year-old Orson and 4-year-old Oren, say the boys vanished from their home in the backyard while playing on December 21st. The police have not named any suspects or persons of interest, but the boys' biological mother, Ryan Dean, said that she blames the adoptive parents. Now, I'll be honest with you on this one. I do not know what to make of this story. And the police have been very tight-lipped about the information that has come out about this particular case. And they said there's no one of interest particularly. They returned today and, are looking for something using this imaging device. They had previously dug the property up in the backyard, various holes throughout, which obviously makes you think that the police have some reason to believe that there's something of evidentiary value. I'm not saying what. I'm not saying it's the young boys, but there is something that the police are focusing their attention on, the fact that they have returned back there again. maybe there's something. Maybe there'll be a break in this case very, very soon. Like I said, the parents haven't been named as a person of interest in any way. The police have been very tight-lipped about that. From what we can tell, it looks like the adoptive parents are being cooperative, according to the police. There's some issue whether they were asked to take a polygraph and whether they actually did or not. But they're at least trying to give the appearance that they are actually being cooperative. So like I said, I'm not sure. But what we were talking about, and there's been reports that the kids were apparently in the backyard and the gate was open. And I said, Frank, can you pull up for me that video that we had, I don't know what, maybe a month or two ago, where the little girl was dropped off at her bus stop and picked up and kidnapped. Now, thank goodness they got it. But take a look at this video, all right? Wait. All right, let me see if... Okay, here it is. So this is at 3:19:06. Little girl walking by, and by 3:19:16, so literally 10 seconds from the time the car pulled up, the kid was put in the back seat, and literally 20 seconds later, the car is gone. Kidnapped. Now, fortunately, in that particular situation, this young girl who got off the school bus, this guy literally kidnapped her off the street. That's scary, scary stuff. But, 15 seconds and they're gone. So, I know a lot of people want to say, well, the family must have something to do with it. The parents had something to do with it. You just never know. Like I said, Exhibit A. Right? Exhibit A for the evening, right there. 15 seconds, child kidnapped in broad daylight. So, like I said, the West case, I'm just not sure of. Obviously the police think they have some reason to go searching the property there, and that they have some reason that they're looking for something of evidentiary value. So, there's a reason why they keep going back. I'll just leave it there. You'd always think, well, if somebody's going to harm children, we certainly wouldn't encourage anyone to do that. For all the people that would say, oh my gosh, Scott, you said this. No, we wouldn't wouldn't encourage anyone to harm children whatsoever. But the reality of it is, you would think, well, who would harm their children and then put them in the backyard? Well, look, a lot of people do. If you look at it, there's lots of cases out there. People do it. So you just never know. You just never, ever know what people do. They freak out. They panic. They get scared. And they think it'll all just work out if I bury my head in the sand. But the truth comes out. Eventually, in most cases, the truth will come out. Charleston, hi Gus, just became a Patreon today. Interested and excited. Well, thank you. Hope you enjoy it. We'll do that right afterwards. That's why I never let my kids walk alone ever. I live in a safe neighborhood. It can happen anywhere. That's just the way it is. Susie, I'm calling federal law enforcement tomorrow. Wasn't Susie that asked the question about the flag? I think it was. Okay. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Susie, but you can certainly do what you want to do. Let's see here. Let's go through some of these questions here as well. Yeah, kids are young. They're very, very scary. Everyone wants to name the adoptive parents when the biological family is the reason why the boys are adopted in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. There's reports early on that the biological mother was outside protesting. There's something that I can't get a feel. Normally when a case like that comes out, I have my my gut instinct is usually pretty right. On that one, I just don't know why. I don't know. I just don't. I can't get a feel for who they should be looking at more closely. And we've had those cases, like what's the one down in Houston where the child was stolen. Everybody thought it was the boyfriend, and turned out it was the deceased's best friend, or and in that one, everyone was saying, "Oh, it's the boyfriend, it's the boyfriend." And I'm like, no, something's just not right. I don't think so. Let's give him the presumption of innocence. He just didn't look like, I don't know. So anyway, we'll just have to wait and see for sure. Angry birth family. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much. I don't know. I mean, maybe she was trying to get the biological mother's mind, saying wanted the children back, was blaming the parents. But obviously, if they were adopted, not just put into foster care, but actually adopted, obviously biological mom had lost her parental rights to no longer be a parent, so she had no say in the matter. I mean, who knows? Maybe, I'm sure the police have looked at all angles. Was it the biological parent's family? Was there something there? You just never, ever know. You just never know. Oh, Susie, is it against federal law but not state? No, if somebody is flying those kinds of flags, it's not against the law. Now, if they're flying it on private property, like an apartment complex, Susie, this is going back to the question about flags, usually the property owners can say you can do that because there's no First Amendment protection against private people telling you what you can and cannot say. First Amendment only applies for the government, right? The government can't restrict your First Amendment rights, but your landlord certainly can. So hopefully the landlord will tell somebody, if they're flying a flag of that nature, that it's just not nice and to take it down. Okay, Tim, why is Brandon Dassey still in prison? I don't know. I mean, how many answers would you that's the Manitowoc, Wisconsin. That's first-degree murder, mutilation case. It's the one making a murderer. Well, as I recall, they were all getting some relief in that particular case, all being the defendants in that particular case, the uncle, Stephen Avery. And then they were going to get a new trial, and then the Supreme Court said no, case is sufficient. And I think they were doing ineffective assistance now based upon the previous attorneys that did such a good job that, basically got stuff in there. Here's the thing. I mean, the truth will come out. I mean, those, the defendants in the Make a Murderer case, I mean, if you talk, I think the prosecutor wrote a book in that particular case, and he said the making of a murderer, kind of skewed the facts, obviously, in their favor. I thought it was rather compelling. Makes you wonder why the hell did they, get convicted? But that happens. It doesn't mean that somebody's, hopefully the truth gets out. I mean, are there innocent people in jail? Yes, there are. I mean, we see that all the time. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. Not to get too sidetracked, but, I was having this very conversation today, kind of wondering, like, why the hell do we even do this stuff? Why do we fight so hard for our clients when, I get an order today from a motions hearing that took place 4 months ago, almost 5 months ago. And the order was just basically, all those motions are denied. No analysis of the facts, left out various parts of the motion. Just very, very frustrating. And, we spent a lot of time on that stuff. We took 2 days in hearings. And 5 months later, I get a written order, that looks like it could have been written by, I'm not going to say anything. Let's just say I didn't think it was the most thought out order in my day, but that's okay. I've had cases where I've lost every motion, and you just think, man, the client must hate me, the judge hates me, I have no good facts, what am I doing? And then you go to trial and you get a not guilty. You just have to keep doing it. You have to keep putting up the fight, because all those motions that you make, if the client gets convicted, are issues on appeal. And those cases, those famous cases that go all the way to the United States Supreme Court, ultimately, it was some little street lawyer, public defender, private defense counsel that filed a motion and kept objecting and objecting. And maybe this case nobody will get any relief on, but maybe someone else will get and listen to that argument and say, yeah, that makes sense. And they make that argument. Eventually, it carries on. I think the case that is so significant in that regard was a case called Crawford V Washington. Went to the United States Supreme Court. Crawford was a defendant in a domestic violence case where the prosecutor didn't want to bring the victim to court to testify. And I can't remember if she didn't want to testify or whatever. The prosecutor went forward using these statements, basically going through a test or some sort of analysis that, well, the statement is reliable. And over the years, the statements have become reliable if they were made immediately thereafter, in the heat of the moment, or they'd become more reliable down the road where people had time to sit, pause, and reflect and see what was going on. So really, there was reliability no matter how you sliced it, just whatever the prosecutor wanted. And people have been arguing forever, confrontation clause. And everybody kept poo-pooing it. Oh, you're all a bunch of idiots. This has been decided. This is the case law. Well, just because it's a law doesn't mean it's a good one, and we're going to try to get it changed. Well, guess what? That case went up to the United States Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says no. A defendant has a confrontation clause right to have the victim come and testify against them. You can't use hearsay statements. An out-of-court statement made by another person than the one testifying being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. Basically, it was a police officer saying, yeah, I spoke with the victim and she said the bad guy did it, or the bad woman did it. And the Supreme Court says, no, you can't do that. You can't have this reliability test. It's a violation of the Constitution. And bam, just like that, some argument that somebody was poo-pooing for years went away, just like that. And all of a sudden, the guy that was laughed at for making those arguments, and I've been there. I literally had a judge tell me to sit down and shut up and quit objecting. I said, Judge, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep objecting. And the case got immediately reversed at the Court of Appeals because everybody knew the law except this one judge who didn't like the particular defendants in this particular case. So, although it gets frustrating and you think, why do you do this? Is it really worth it? There's got to be an easier way to make a living. You keep doing it because you know it's the right thing to do. Super chat. Chickenhead. Yeah, Chickenhead. Make sure I'm reading that right. First question. Tom Girardi. How is he ending up? I believe Tom Girardi is going to not have a law license. There's questions that have been raised by his brother as to whether he's even competent to proceed and can handle his legal affairs. He probably won't be charged criminally, but if I was a betting man, I'd say he's not going to have a law license much longer if it's not already suspended or maybe somehow voluntarily turned in. So I don't think Tom Girardi is going to turn out well, which is very sad because, you know, if everyone's ever seen the movie Aaron Brockovich, Tom Girardi is the attorney that comes in with the deep pockets near the end that kind of puts, you know, the underdogs, you know, gives them good footing so that they can win the case and they settle for tons of money and they have to clean up all the stuff. That's Tom Girardi. That guy's a legend. I've heard him speak before. I thought he was very, very impressive. I've seen him at national trial lawyers seminars. I mean, it's sad. It's disappointing. But you can't do certain things. You just, as an attorney, you can't do it. You can't take your clients' settlements and use them for your own. You can't do that because your wife is living a big lifestyle, or you are as well. It's that's probably what a lot of people do. When their faculties start going, and if you're not as sharp as you used to be, it's just gonna be a bad situation. I mean, we've all seen people that stick around just a little too long, and they're not doing their clients any favor at all. My goal is to be able to get out before I have to get to that point where somebody says, Scott, I think it's time to, hang up your briefcase, so to speak. Hopefully that's not going to be the problem. All right, Chickenhead, second question. Seattle Seahawks ex-player who beat up his girlfriend. He also killed her and first-degree assault, only DV charges. I think that also is maybe almost killed her. Yeah, first-degree assault in most jurisdictions is very similar. It's a felony. Most cases that is a go to prison type of case. Now, when they say only DV charges, that's what most people don't realize is people say, oh, I have a DV, okay? You have the charge. Let's just keep it simple. Let's say a simple misdemeanor assault, right? For example, say a third-degree assault. Most jurisdictions, they call it different things, but a simple assault. Basically, I come up, I punch you. Now, if I punch a person that I had been involved with in an intimate relationship, then guess what? It's a DV case, domestic violence. Most states, domestic violence isn't a charge in and of itself. It's what is referred to as a sentencing enhancer, okay? So you're charged, somebody punches somebody in the arm with somebody that they've been involved in an intimate relationship with. That's a DV charge. So either the jury or sometimes the judge will decide and says, yes, I'm going to find that these two have been involved in an intimate relationship, i.e. boyfriend, girlfriend. They have children together. That is a DV case, okay? It's a sentencing enhancer, which simply means it's a DV finding. You got to take domestic violence classes. Oh, by the way, you won't be able to possess firearms in the future, things like that. That's a DV. If you see an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, and you see their car, and you think, man, I'm still upset by what they did to me, and you walk by and you key the car. It's a criminal mischief. But guess what? If you'd ever had an intimate relationship with the victim in that particular case, it's a DV. It's a domestic violence case. You did it because, again, the victim was someone you involved in an intimate relationship. That's a DV charge. So hopefully that makes sense. Denise, thank you. Super chat, $49.99. Wow, thank you very much. You can ask a question too. You can highlight those and we'll ask a question. Appreciate that for sure. Let's see here. Questions. Yes, Chad Wheeler is the guy's name. Dimples, no, it's Chesty Puller. That's right, Marine Corps legend. That's right, him right there. Chesty Puller. 5 Navy Crosses, which is the award right below the Medal of Honor. The man was a stud. Just Google Chesty Puller. Good reading. Good reading. Where do you see who is in the chat? Well, from what I can see, it shows all the names of people. I'm not sure how it shows up for anybody else. Question, Bella, is there if any new evidence was to come up regarding Casey Anthony, could she be recharged with the murder of her daughter? How does the law work in her state? Well, the law in her state, Florida, works like it would in every other state. Jeopardy has attached. she could not be charged. She has been charged as it related to the death of her daughter, and she was found not guilty. Okay. I mean, just to show you, when jeopardy attaches, it's done. It's over. You can be found not guilty, walk out the courtroom, tell the jury, man, I did it. You guys, the government failed to prove their case. Thank you. I will never do that again. Nothing can be retried. Government has their shot. Unless there's a mistrial, they can't do that. Again, they have their one shot. They got to take it, and that's it. Okay, question, please. What are your thoughts on AEDPA? Let's see here. What is Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty of 1996? Assuming that's what you're referring to. Love to know, since in your end of the court, it affects what you do. Assuming that's what you're referring to there, not my verbiage. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess what's your question? I mean, it's the Anti-Terrorism Death Penalty Act. Act to deter terrorism, provide justice for victims, provide an effective death penalty for other purposes. You know, if Congress doesn't want it, Congress should change it. You know, I mean, I'm not a big fan of people creating laws or judges creating rules just to suit their purpose. The law was passed. If they needed to be repealed, then they should do that. Not a big fan of the death penalty. Not exactly sure how necessarily it deters people. I don't think it deters people in the heat of the moment. You know, most people can have some sort of redeeming qualities. I've mentioned this once or twice. I've only had a couple of clients, maybe one or two, people I can count on one hand that I just thought was pure evil, and I don't know if they had any redeeming qualities whatsoever. I'd like to think they did, but they were just some scary, scary people. Yes, ma'am has a question for you. Yeah. Yes, man. Super chat. Love your channel. Who would you rather have a one-night stand with? Jody Arias or Urza McCandless? Of course, all are hypothetical because I also have a true love. Gee, that's a good one. I mean, geez, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, none is the correct answer for obvious reasons. Urza McCandless, she's the one that, yeah, she stabbed her, was it her? Yeah, her friend. Yeah. She's got some issues. And I remember she got life sentence, but like, didn't she like do something right at the very end? I don't know. I think both would be very scary. That's the first time I've ever had that question there. Yes, man. Yes, ma'am. And, but you know, we'll have to think about that. I mean, it's kind of thing. Geez, do you, if you were to have a one night stand, would you have to sleep with one eye open? Would you leave immediately? Would you want police protection outside? I mean, those are all good questions, but one I hadn't thought about and probably never would have, but good question. Totally skirting that one. That's for sure. You know, they both have got some mental health issues that probably kind of takes them out of the running, you know, for sure. You know, good question. Yes. Yes, ma'am. That's for sure. Joel, Scott, what are your predictions for the outcome of the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case? Well, I think it's the prosecutor's case to lose. I don't think he's going to do that. I think Mr. Wood seems to be a very confident, skilled prosecutor. Clearly, he's probably a little motivated by the fact that, he's been accused of doing such bad things, which turned out to be not true at all. And I think that at the end of the day, Lori and Chad Vallow will be convicted. Now, I qualify that by saying anything can happen at trial, no matter what whatever you think, no matter how good a case. I've won cases that I should not have won. I've lost a couple I thought it just depends on the jury that is collected, how the evidence comes out. But if I was a betting man, they got nothing to lose. I'm sure we've talked about this before. There's probably no hour. K. Vallow, thank you. Super Chat 49. Wow. Thank you. So Vanessa, hopefully you were talking about, yes, ma'am, Super Chat. Jody Arias or Urza McCandless? Jody Arias. Let me just, why is that? She's killed her boyfriend, stabbed him. Both of them they were stabbers. Yeah. Bad ladies. I guess if you had that one night, you want to surely make sure they were satisfied. Let them know that it's not me, it's you. I don't deserve you. Because apparently they don't take breakup very well. So that's a good one. Maybe we should ask that on Instagram. That would be kind of funny. If you were to date somebody, who would it be? If you had to go on a date and there were two women, who would it be? Oh, I don't know. No, it's spelled differently. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate all those super chats there. Some questions just to be overlooked. Smith could have been used for. I have zero redeeming qualities. Just kidding. I'm a very nice person. Some people say that about me. I don't. New Hampshire, watching Scott. All right. NH, I guess. I'm assuming that's New Hampshire. Let's see if we got any more questions here. I kind of like the questions, and then you realize, oh my gosh, how quickly the night goes by. Oh my God, so funny. Who would you rather? You'd have to frisk them first for deadly weapons. That's so true. Like I said, you want to make sure they were the one that was ending it. That's for sure. Didn't take rejection well. That's funny. Looking at the comments after, they thought it was funny too. Thank you for answering the best of your ability. Facts is why you are the best. Well, we try to. It's like, would you rather be killed once or 3 times over? That's true. Throw in there like a Lorena Bobbitt or something too, right? I mean, geez. Let's see here. We've got some good questions. So anyway, wow, it goes by so fast. K-Val Woodcock, wrapping your arms around you, Grandma. Update on Sharkey. I'm not aware of any new developments in the Alexis Sharkey case. We check this stuff every day. And every now and then something gets by, but I don't think there's anything new other than that the coroner determined that it was a homicide, which everyone kind of knew. The manner of death was strangulation, but, let's see. Catherine, good question. This is a case that will never go away and will always have great interest. Do you have any theories about the vintage case of JonBenet Ramsey? Colorado's had many odd and fascinating cases. Is it the high altitude? It must be something. I don't know if it's the altitude or what. Maybe there's something here in the water. I don't know. Maybe they need to make sure it's nice and clean and drink it from their Crime Talk mug for sure. The JonBenet Ramsey case is rather interesting because I know a lot of people that were directly involved in that case. And it's one of the cases, you know, sometimes attorneys talk amongst each other about things, but everyone involved in that case just has been absolutely very tight-lipped. Obviously, the prosecutors, you know, cleared the Ramseys a long time ago. The mother has since passed away. Dad is remarried. There's been lots of lawsuits by lots of people for prosecuting the case. You know, that case is, I mean, that house, my gosh, we were just up there, this last summer, staying up at Chautauqua State Park. It's literally, I mean, I don't know, we were a block or two away from the house, and everybody kind of drive by. Oh yeah, there's the house. You know, a lot of the investigators, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was hired by the district attorney to look at it. He said there was an intruder theory. Kind of seems to be the dominant theory that the prosecutors did. I think most people would agree all around that the initial investigation by the Boulder police was less than impressive. You know, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if anybody thinks that if there is not a two-tier justice system, they're fooling themselves. A lot of things courtesies were given to the Ramseys that would not have been afforded if it were you or me early on. If your child was found strangled in the basement, a note written in your house that would know very specifics that only kind of you would know. And I know the forensics came back that it wasn't Patsy Ramsey's handwriting. They couldn't say it was inconclusive. Okay, well, let's just use inconclusive means not a match. And if it was a match, they would have let you know. So, I mean, I think if the case were you or me, they find your kid dead in the basement, guess what? They're going to charge you and me. They're going to charge you within hours, if not days, of that discovery. And they'd say, let them sort it out. But I think that, you know, the Ramseys had lots of courtesies. And, you know, hey, they've been cleared by the DA. You know, they all have a presumption of innocence, and we're not casting dispersions. I just think the process itself, it turned into almost like a show from, not show, but like an O.J. Simpson thing. Like I said, if that were you and me, we'd been charged. They would have said, let the courts sort it out. Let your attorney sort it out. I think based upon the evidence that everybody knew about at the time, they probably would have been found not guilty if they had gone to trial, had they been charged. But we'll never know. You know, the grand jury apparently wanted to indict in that particular case, but the district attorney said, no, we're not going to. I mean, they probably had at least probable cause. At least that's what they thought. So, okay, Michelle's letting me know here that Kay Vallow Woodcock is J.J. Vallow's grandmother. Well, welcome to Crime Talk. Hopefully you think that we're doing a fair and impartial analysis of that particular case. Try to call it the way it is. So, also, Catherine, hopefully that answers your question on JonBenet. You know, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should go up to Crime Talk. I know, that was the lovely Miss Christian's idea. You should do something like that. I agree. And I'm giving you credit for it right now. You know, kind of but there's been so much done about it. But I guess we could put a good, you know, do a good one about it and go check out the house. I think it's for sale yet again, I think is what I read recently. You know, which, heck, we still have the Watts house that's never been officially foreclosed upon. Fiona Can the FBI force Prince Andrew to provide evidence? No. And he will not, is my guess. And there's no way that they're going to let a member of the monarchy get extradited for charges if he were ever charged. Don't see that one coming. Why? Because there is a two-tier system of justice in our criminal justice system. And if you don't believe that, all you have to do is take a look in Washington, D.C. If you or I had done half the stuff that these people do, we would be charged in a heartbeat. But yet, if it goes to Washington, D.C., they investigate it for years and years and years, and then by the time you know it, look at that. Statute of limitations has expired. Everyone goes away. Everybody gets promoted. Everybody moves on. Nothing happens to anyone. Just saying. Scott K is chat is JJ grandmother to Charles Vallis' sister. Okay. Well, welcome. We like everybody to watch. You know, we have a great caller the other night from Rexburg telling us how it is. Apparently, people there have made up their minds, which will be interesting if that's truly the case as it comes to the motion for a change of venue that will be argued in a couple of weeks. So we'll see how that will work out as well. He comes someone he loves life. Okay, yeah, I can't. Trying to read these, sometimes they go by quickly. Two sides and we are on the wrong side. Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I've always been kind of for the underdog, maybe because that's the side I've always been on. I was never in the cool kid club, so to speak. And so, you know, just like, you know, way back in the day, all the cool kids got all the passes, but if you did the exact same thing, somehow you got in trouble because you weren't a star football player. That's just, unfortunately, the way it is. So old Lady Justice isn't always as blind as we wish she were. But like I said, maybe it's just me. I've had kind of a irritating day dealing with some clients. And so maybe I'm just a little jaded in my feelings tonight. Let's see here. Was there another one that let's see here. I'm trying to see. I got it all. Yeah. K. Val, Woodcock's JJ Val. Scott, why were murder charges never charged in the Vallow case? I know they point the finger at Alex, but why not even accomplice to murder charge since Alex was at Chad's property? You know, Joel, you know, we've talked about this. And obviously we don't have all of the discovery that's been released, but what has been released, I think from the defense perspective, and I think the prosecutor would look at it, if he's looking at what I have, he obviously has a lot more information. But I think if the prosecutor in this case for Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, if he had the evidence, he would charge it by now. I don't think he does. I think that the evidence would probably tend to point to that maybe Alex was the one that possibly harmed the children. But without somebody testifying to that, how do you prove that? You know, hunch, suspicion, a lot of that depends on what you can prove in court, what you can legally, permissibly prove in court. There was a lot of testimony at the preliminary hearing about phone records and texts back and forth. But then you have to lay the proper foundation to say who actually sent the text message. Just because it's your phone, if somebody else has access to it, doesn't mean that you sent it. They have to prove that you were behind the computer. Okay? You're the one that sent the text message. If I lend my phone to somebody and say, you know, go do it, or I leave my computer unlocked and somebody walks by and type something in, it was on my account, but I didn't necessarily do it. And so the text messages, yes, if you could prove that it was Lori or Chad, they would come into evidence as a statement against a party opponent, which would be non-hearsay. But the statements that come in purportedly by Alex, how do you expect to get those in? Now, if they were made in furtherance of the conspiracy under Rules of Evidence 801 D2E, you could possibly do that, but you still have to establish the conspiracy. And with nobody coming forward, you may not be able to actually establish the conspiracy right there via those text messages, because once you have to put everyone behind the keyboard as well. But the other thing is you have to basically prove that there's knowledge. I mean, this is not a complicated case. Let's just say, remember the preliminary hearing in the Vallow case went, 2 days or something? I would ask a couple of simple questions. Mr. Prosecutor man, Mr. Witness for the prosecution, what evidence do you have that my client knew the children were buried on the property of Chad Daybell? Well, because they were there. Well, that's not enough, right? Think about it. You give your kid the car. They drive the car with their friends in the car. You get pulled over. The police says, hey, I smell something a little funny in here. Yeah, the kids had the car. They must have been smoking something. You know how it is, officer. Yeah, mind if we search the car? They search the car and they find cocaine in the back seat. Well, just because it's there doesn't mean that you knowingly possessed it. And so in this particular case, they have to be able to show that they knew the children were there and that they were there with the intent to hinder, delay the investigation or the prosecution in that particular case. So how are they going to be able to prove that? Okay. And if I was the defense, it's a simple case. That's why I get so frustrated with Mr. Means. It's like, dude, I'm not trying to tell you how you do your job, but it's a simple case. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client loved her children. She would never harm the children in any way. You're going to hear people say she was a great mother. She cared about the kids. She had no idea what happened to the children. It was a traumatic time. She met Chad Daybell. She was under this mesmerized, hypnotic state. He said, don't worry about it. Let's just go to Hawaii. At no time did she know that her children had passed. At no time did she know that her children were actually deceased, let alone buried and desecrated on Chad Daybell's property. Simple, right? Chad Daybell. What's his theory? This lady's crazy. Yeah, Chad Daybell gets up and says, yeah, I had some weird, different beliefs, but that's what I believe, whatever, but you can't hold my religious beliefs against me. But I had no idea that these children were dead. I have no idea, and I think if anybody did something, it was probably Alex Cox. You keep it simple. They have to prove that they knew the children were there. How do they know? Well, they were off on some trip that Alex Cox did not come in, if he was the one that allegedly harmed those children and put the children there. That's the difficulty that the prosecutor has. I think his case will prevail for the prosecution in the end, but if you get a jury that looks at that question rather critically, there could be a shot, but you don't want to look like an idiot, making yourself look like an idiot to everybody, because they're not going to listen to you when you actually get there. Motions are like silver bullets, right? Or, you're going after the king. You better make sure you get a direct shot. You better make sure you get a kill, as the saying goes. Otherwise, they're coming for you. They're going to get you. So, why tip the prosecutor off? But bottom line is, there's no murder charges because the prosecution doesn't have the evidence or no way of actually knowing what happened. And that's, I wish they did. Come on, there's kids, man. They're kids. They had a life ahead of them. That's the bottom line. But it's, the prosecutor has an ethical obligation to only bring the charges that they think that they can prove. I think Mr. Wood has done nothing unethical whatsoever from what I have seen. I told you that when that tape came out. Somebody sent me the transcript of it. I said there's nothing inappropriate there whatsoever. Some people were, it's crazy. How could you do that? There's nothing wrong about that. I was like, if that offends you, I don't know what fantasy world you live in. So we'll see. Thank you. Not my verbiage. You're a fair man. Thank you for being a realist. I am the mayor of Realville. I got to call it the way I see it, not the way I wish it was. You never know. Yeah, juries come back. Let's see. Exhausted Alex with the kids. I just wanted Daybells to turn on each other. And that may happen. But here's the thing. They had more penalties for the abandonment charges than they do with the conspiracy. They're looking at 10 years now. The other case, they dropped it down to a misdemeanor on Lori Vallow. She was looking under the abandonment of, I think it was 14 years on each count. Now it's 10 years. Hell, she's been in custody for a year. Even if she got a 10-year sentence, she'll be out in 5 years probably. If she had something to do with it, she's going to keep her mouth shut. Bottom lines. Blick74, Mark hates Scott. Somebody hates Scott. They put up that thing from Mark Means law firm, which looked like it was totally bogus, I must say. But it had me in like this not flattering picture, and they made little devil horns come out of my head. Samantha, of course, blame the dead guy. Yes. That's what they do. I guarantee you. That's what's coming down the pike. Conspiracy fact. They can put them on the stand and ask why she didn't report them missing. No, they can't. They cannot be compelled to testify against themselves. They have a Fifth Amendment right. Only if they get on the stand will they be able to do that. I cannot imagine, from what I know, either Lori Vallow or Chad Daybell testifying at their trial. I would be shocked to death. It would be great TV. I mean, I hope they do. Don't get me wrong. But from an attorney's perspective, I don't think that anything good could come from that. Now, we've talked about this before. When you have clients that think that they're important, they think that they can talk their way out of it. And if they just got up there and were able to talk their way out of it, it will all be okay. So maybe they would. Because remember, that is the client's choice, not the attorney's, not the DA, not the judge, not the family member. It is simply the defendant's right to exercise or not. What's up with Scott Peterson now? No death penalty? Last I've heard was that they were still going to pursue the death penalty. The Jason Collier case. We talked about this case the other day, the police chief that produced false annulment papers, which I thought was kind of funny. Police officer preparing false annulment papers to show his girlfriend that he's not married so that she can announce the engagement, put it on Facebook, where the other girlfriend says, hey, you can't marry him. I'm married to him. And then it turns out, the girlfriends and the wives get together, and I'm sure now former police chief Collier, who's been charged with various forgery documents and things of that nature, you can't make this stuff up. You just can't make it up. It happens every day, right? And I've said this before. What is the dominant theme throughout all these cases, right? Drugs, sex, and alcohol. That's the three things that run through all of them. The stuff is not new. It's been going on for thousands of years. Everyone tries to think it's going to be different. They're going to try to figure it out. It's nothing new. Nothing new. Pamela, you're being so bad, Scott. Sorry about that. All right. Well, can you look at that? Okay. Lori knew oh, this is from Kay Vallow Woodcock. Lori knew exactly what was going on, knew right from wrong. They will spend life in prison, then hell for eternity. We feel Alex, Loco, Chud worked in tandem, our opinions only. All right, well, Kay, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. Like I said, what it boils down to, though, is proof. What can the prosecutor get into evidence? That's the toughest thing that prosecutors have to do. They may think, man, I know this person did it. I know in my heart of hearts, but the evidence that I have no way of getting it into evidence, and therefore, we can't do it. All right. So I appreciate it, Kay Vallow Woodcock. I mean, my heart goes out to you. I could not imagine losing a child, grandchild, in any way. So my heart goes out to you indeed. It's a sad situation. I mean, it's a child, for goodness sakes. It's a terrible crime, and justice will be done. And just remember, the truth, or a very close version of it, will come out. And regardless, even if, I think the jury will do the right thing. Juries usually get the right thing done. The problem for Lori Vallow is the juror's going to want to know, how come you didn't report your kids missing? How come you weren't out there looking for them? Think about it, what parents do. They contact the police. Oh, my God, my child is missing. Oh, my God, what can I do to find them? Let's go look. We need more people. You don't run off to Hawaii and get married to the guy whose wife just passed away 2 weeks ago. It just simply doesn't happen. All right. So we are near the end of the show, and that's right, Miss Winnie. Oh, a couple of things before we get to Miss Winnie. All right, new merchandise. So we showed this the other day, just in time for Valentine's Day. Get your orders now. Hit the little link below. There's that, the shirt. The lovely Miss Kristen wears one. And then this. Look at that, the pillow. I think that turned out very nice, didn't it? Yes. But what? Kristen, you also had a bad day, crap day. But hopefully we made your day a little better. I, too, have had one of those days, but we do it. We'll get to Miss Winnie in a second. And then, look, this new Crime Talk shirt. These people are so talented. Look, the little crime tape there with the Crime Talk, and it goes along the back, Oh, let's focus. Oh, there it is. Just the autofocus took a second to.
Right there, right?
See, look at that. So, go to the links. We do it because people ask for it. It's not like I'm quitting my day job by selling little merchandise. But finally, let me show you the little Miss Winnie here. Hold on one second. Let me get you the Miss Winnie. She's just woke up from a nap. I have that effect on women, putting them to sleep. and look at the little Miss Winnie. Look at her. Is she not the cutest thing you've ever seen? Look at her. Look at her there. See? She's the cutest thing ever. She's got all her shots. She's doing well. She's healthy. She's sleeping through the night at like 13 weeks. Because that's right. It was like having small children all over again for a couple of weeks. Not fun when you get to be my age. Like going outside, standing in the cold, waiting for the little puppy to go poop. Oh, wasn't fun. But I think we're past that. Little Miss Winnie and I, we have an understanding. We do. We have an understanding. She sleeps through the night, and I'm a much happier person in the morning. But if she still whines and needs to go out, we take her out. But isn't she cute? Now, our Crime Talk staff has set up a TikTok for her, and it's Miss Winnie the Bulldog on TikTok. And I think she's going to have an Instagram page if she doesn't already. Same thing. And what I really can't wait for is I want to take her flying, because I got these little head muffs for the dog where it literally straps underneath her chin so the engine noise won't bother her. Cannot wait to take her flying and, travel with her. I can't wait. So anyway, she's a purebred bulldog. So cute. Can't wait to show you when she gets older. But look at how pretty she is. Isn't she just the prettiest little baby you ever did see? That's right. Look, not my verbiage. I will follow on TikTok for sure. See?
She might have eaten a staple.
Yeah. Oh, a staple? No.
No, I already took it.
Okay, she likes to put things in her mouth. Now she can put the eagle in there. Oh, all right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We will see you next week when we go live and tomorrow on our show. And please don't forget, if you haven't become a Patreon member, do so that we can send you the link so that you can be a Patreon tonight. And we can do this where we can call in and have a conversation, not just do the chats as well. It's frankly a lot more fun when we go back and forth as well. So, all right. Somebody had a bulldog named Laverne. We've had Domino, a.k.a. the Dominator. We've had Chester, because Marines have to have bulldogs. Just the way it is. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night. Our Patreons, we will see you shortly.